Hey guys, it's Leesh, and welcome to another episode of Car Confessions. Guys, listen, I just left work and it's Wednesday and I am like cooked. And it's crazy because we had Monday off, so I've only been at work 2 days this week, but it feels like I've worked the whole week. Nevertheless, here we are, guys. How are you? What's happening? What's going on? Um, how is the end of May treating you? Listen, I feel like May just kind of like flew by. Like, what happened to this month? Normally, especially like working in a school, May is like the longest month ever. Because, we get out in June. So the month before we actually end the school year seems like never ending. I mean, seriously. But I can't believe it. Like, 2 more days and it's a wrap. We're into June. Like, what the what? Wildness. But yeah, I'm really shocked like how fast May went by. I mean, did you feel that? Like, I mean, maybe it was just me. I don't know. But I feel like May just literally came and went. Um, and now we're into some better weather, which, listen, I'm not complaining about that because the weather has been cray cray. Past 2 days have been pretty good. Monday was a waste. I was like, okay, it was crazy. But yeah, so like feels like things are moving in the right direction when it comes to the weather, at least. And but just time is just flying. I mean, I just feel like time is just on like fast forward. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy town. But yeah, hopping on because I've been listening to a lot of people like talking through like this whole thing about the election, like what's going to happen, who should you vote for, and shaming people that aren't voting for Biden, you know, causing this almost fear, if you will, around the idea of people either, not voting for Biden, looking at third party candidates, um, and really trying to figure out where, they stand and where everyone stands, really, right? I mean, for the people who are sending out these like messages of, oh my gosh, if you don't vote for Biden, it's a vote for Trump. Um, it's Here's the thing. For me, I am still in this contemplation. Like I'm still just trying to figure out where I stand with my voting. And even still, right? Like there was a time in America, or just in general, maybe in other countries too. I don't know. I've only lived in America, so I mean, whatevs. But I recall a time where people really didn't talk about that um, outwardly in the ways that we do now, and create and it, where it creates this like polarized type of culture that we're in, right? Because it's like once you say, "Oh, I'm voting for blah blah blah," then instantly someone has you all pegged. Like they know you are racist, they know that you are liberal, they know that you are conservative. You know what I'm saying? Like they will give you all the titles. Like every title is amongst, whatever, knowing who you're going to vote for, and it's almost like a bullying. Is it me? But I feel like in some ways people are like, "Who are you voting for?" And it's like this thing of, are you in the cool girls club or not? I don't know, right? It's really wild. But at the same time, it's like, where is our country going, right? That's the thing. Like, what is going on here? Like, what is going on? Obviously, we know there's a lot going on, but it's like, what are we doing as a collective besides trying to figure out who's voting for who, raising alarms around the genocide in Palestine, and hoping that people are, waking up to this whole thing. Like besides us doing those things, what are we doing to heal this country? as a collective, as a group of people. Because it's one thing for politicians to kind of like spew their shit, because I mean that's what they do, right? They're going to give you a bunch of empty promises. They might fulfill some of that shit, but more times than not, it's whatever, right? Um, but I feel like at this point, given where we stand in this country, we have to start really rethinking how we approach politics, in my opinion. Like, you can take or leave this conversation, whatever. But the way I feel about it at this point is, if we are a democracy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know about democracies and how they operate, the people have the power, right? Like, we have the power. We have the power to, you know, create change in this country because of our stance, and being a democratic type of society. Um, and more times than not, and I think a lot of people are realizing and waking up to the fact that the way we're operating is not in the way of a democracy. It's more of a fascist type of approach. Um, and like I said, I think people are waking up and realizing that. And that's fine. Like, wake up, process it, get your life together. But we still have a lot of work to do, right? Like, we have to figure out how we move forward, knowing that we thought we lived in a democracy and now we're realizing that it's not that. Are we going to continue status quo, right? And allow shit to kind of like be led by the people that are in office? Or are we going to then vote the people in office and hold them accountable for their actual actions? Now, obviously, based off what we know about Trump and Project 2025 and all that, the way that is potentially supposed to roll out, we wouldn't have that opportunity, right? Based off what the actual documents state. But at the same time, are we going to continue to allow the Biden administration, if they get elected, this time around, to conduct the same old rigmarole, and for them to kind of like do what they want to do with our taxpayers, our tax money, and continue this whole craziness that's going on in Israel? Like, are we cool with that? Because I'm not cool with that. Like, I'm just going to be completely honest. Like, knowing that I don't have, a lot of the, why is capabilities coming to my mind? Hello, Alicia. No, it's not capabilities, but like knowing that I'm not afforded, here we are, knowing that I'm not afforded a lot of the things that, people in Israel are afforded when it comes to like healthcare, education, housing, things of that nature. I mean, there are other things that are offered too in terms of, being a citizen in Israel, and knowing that we are struggling here in the United States, the majority of us, um, buying a house is like, what? Saving money is like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like we are on the struggle bus. Many of us are, and some of us are just living life like it's golden. And for you, well, that's amazing. But for the majority of Americans, we are just doing our best to get through each and every day without losing our shit, because life is just beyond expensive. And I don't have any answers in terms of like how we move forward with that, in the event that Joe Biden and his administration gets back in office for a second term. But there has to be a point where we start brainstorming, like, how do we move forward with knowing that we have the power because we have voted these people in office, right? How do we then hold them accountable? And what are we going to do in the event that they don't, keep to their promises? Because I feel like that's kind of like the running joke in America, where it's like, oh, yeah, that's what politicians do. They just lie, and we just kind of deal with it. And it's just like, for reals? Like, that's how we want to continue this? Like, what, guys? So yeah, it's just like figuring out, how do we do this, or are we just going to allow ourselves just to continue on this hamster wheel of fuckery and just see the country completely fall apart, which it already is falling apart. Let's just be clear, like we are at, I don't know what stage of falling apart, but we are definitely in active falling apart mode. I don't even know if that's even a way to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. But are we cool with this? Or are we just still trying to like process what the hell's going on? Like I don't know. But I just feel like there needs to be more action from us, as opposed to us looking to these politicians being like, you promised blah blah blah. Well, you know what? They're not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times do we have to like beat ourselves against the head with this, battle cry of, oh, I thought you were going to do X, Y, and Z. How many years have we lived in this country? How many times have we seen politicians make these empty promises and not follow through with them? At least the majority of them. Some things they do kind of like, they make happen, but for the most part, especially when it comes to really important things like healthcare, education, housing, it's as if, you know, it's null and void, and we are just going to have to just quote unquote, suffer through it. And it's just like, for us to be this, wealthy country, how are we out here looking crazy as hell? Like, I just don't understand that. Like, it really blows my mind that we are all just complicit with how we're living. Like, if anything, okay, just even scratching Israel off the board. But actually, you can't, because when you think about where the money's going, it's like, bitch, like what? You know? But just thinking about it and thinking about how you're living right now, like think about your life. Like I said, if you're one of the, minorities as it relates to living really well right now in the country and thriving, wonderful. No judgment. Well, whatever. That's a whole other story. But like for those who are in my shoes, right? Who are like, God bless. Like, what the hell? Like, really? Can I just catch a break? Is there any opportunity for a 40-year-old, here in New York, here in New York City, to afford a house, will my student loans actually forgiven? Is healthcare going to be the reason why I decided, or whatever, because I'm worried about the bills? Like, so like, what about those things? Like, why is that not causing more rage than anything? Knowing that other countries operate in a way where their citizens are able to live. Like, live. I'm not talking about working to the bone, killing themselves like we do. I mean, like in other countries, y'all, people have the opportunity to rest during the day. Like, they have like a siesta. Like, that shit's not just made up. People literally have quality time in their day where they can actually just rest and not have to worry about the grind of, their job or whatever, right? It's us. It's America and the Western world that has allowed us to believe and be brainwashed in this idea that we have to grind, 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 grind. And then if you keep grinding, eventually you'll make that American dream. But it's like more of us are waking up and realizing, listen, I'm 46 years into this damn life. And I have been, when I say grind should be, my middle name, and I should have all the riches, huh? It's like, come on. This is crazy town. And it really angers me because it's like the fact that we are just allowing, and like literally, that's what's happening. We are allowing these politicians and and all these big companies and corporations to just hoodwink us into thinking that we're living our best lives. Meanwhile, we are barely keeping it fucking together. Seriously. And it just really enrages me because it's like, I know how hard the majority of us work in this country. And to know that we could be living better, based off all the money. I mean, you've seen all the money that's just been flying around like it's, like it's water. I mean, the abundance of money. Who knew we had that much money to just hand off to other countries? Meanwhile, we're, like I said, we're barely making it. These roads here in New York. I mean, if you've been listening and watching Car Confessions, you hear me talking about it all the time. These roads here in New York City, tragic. I mean, potholes to boot. It is insane. Like, it's crazy. But everything's going up in price. You know, tolls, the subway system. Like, I don't even really use the subway system. And to know how much it costs now, it's like, are you kidding me? Meanwhile, there's all types of crime. They claim they've had these policemen in the stations. I mean, what is that proving? Because I mean, I don't know that things are any safer. Like, it's just bananas to me. It's beyond me. But yeah, when are we gonna rise up and just be like, enough is enough? We've had it. We have had it, and I get it. A lot of us are living cush lives, even though we're struggling. We're still comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're still really comfortable. We don't want to rock the boat because, oh my gosh, what if I lose this, and this? Whatever your reasoning is to not rock the boat. But at this point, I just feel like, what do we have to lose, guys? Honestly. Like, really, what do we have to lose as it relates to this life? Because right now, I just don't feel like I'm living, right? Like, I'm not doing all the things that I want to do. I'm not experiencing all the things that I want to experience, due to the state of this country, the financial craziness that's going on. And I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that. I think we're meant to enjoy this life. The creation of this industrialized system that we live in was a creation by someone, right? This wasn't just the way life was meant to be, right? I don't believe that. This was somebody's idea, and we've fulfilled that idea 1,000 times over. And I think this idea needs to be squashed, like, for realsies. But it's just like, how do we do that? How do we start creating change in the way where we are living our best lives and enjoying this life and not feeling so overwhelmed and stressed and at our wits' end because we can't afford just living, right? I was looking at something and just talking about, like, millennials and Gen Z, hell, Gen X. I'm Gen X, but I live in New York City, so whole other thing. But I feel like a lot of us, Gen X and down, I feel like a lot of us are frustrated, more so the younger kids. Like, my heart goes out because it's like, what do I have to look forward to in terms of adulting? Like, really, in this country, what do I have to look forward to? I can't afford a house. I can't afford to just live. Kids, quit playing. Like, who can afford a kid right now? And live comfortably and not worry about, all the things. My parents bought a house. Actually, twice they purchased homes. And I'm not talking about they had, like, tons and tons of money. Like, these were just everyday working people who had the opportunity to purchase homes, and in decent neighborhoods, right? Nice neighborhoods. And we lived well. And, it's mind blowing to me to know that I make the money that I make, and I make pretty good money. I mean, yeah, I make very good money. And I'm out here looking crazy as hell. How is that possible, guys? How is that? Like, think about that. The money you make, particularly if you do have a profession where you make a decent amount of money, like pretty well, and you're still struggling, that should make you angry. It makes me angry. I just think more people need to hear that, and more people need to understand that this facade of the American dream, like it's slowly dwindling, and people are realizing, like, yo, this is not it. But as it relates back to who we're voting for, I mean, I don't know. I'm still in that place of like, okay, if I, go in and I vote for Biden, will that be the thing that's going to allow us to go in and guns blazing and hold people accountable? Will we have that opportunity to do that, even though, we see what's happening around the world and how involved we are in all these genocides and how much money is just being sent out to all, to countries for war, this, that, and the other, and we are barely making it. And then also think about the people who are actually in these areas that are in harm's way because of the genocidal acts that are happening where they are. And I'm just like, Alicia, girl, you're fine. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about. And I just don't know where we stand as it relates to this. We got so polarized, during the Trump times, right? And I think it was by design, right? That now it's like for us to bring it back together, it's hard because everybody's so conditioned to be like, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm a this, I'm a that, blue state, red state, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard for a lot of people to come out of that. And I'm telling you, that was a good trick. It was a really good trick. But guys, tricks are for kids. Let's be serious. And are we going to conduct ourselves like kids for the rest of our lives? You know what I'm saying? We keep playing these games with each other. For what? No one's benefiting except the people at the top. And we think, some of us who are in certain privilege, and I say that in air quotes, privileged situations, we feel like we have one up on the ones that are below us, right? Because we're doing better, but none of us are. We're all just, at the end of the day, when you go home and you're just trying to figure it all out, you're like, fuck, like how did I get here, right? It's frustrating, guys. It really is. But just my thoughts. How do we get to a place where we come together as a collective and say no more? We all want to just live well and be able to afford life, not be greedy, not, try to one up somebody and take away from anyone. We just all want to work and live well in the society. Like, what's so freaking hard about that? I don't know. Everybody thinks differently. I know everyone has their own way of processing and dealing, but man, this way of living is not sustainable. It's just not. And y'all, we got to figure it out because I go into work and let me tell you something. I have tons of energy. I'm not a person that's ever really like fatigued, but it's just the idea of working. And like I said, I love my job, which is crazy because the way I feel some days, I'm like, I could have stayed home for this. But for those who are in a space that they really don't like their jobs or whatever, and they're just doing it just so they can make ends meet, my heart goes out to you because the way I feel and I like my job, I can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? All that to say, to take care of yourself. Do some things that you enjoy. Get out. Do, if you need to go to the movies, if you need to get your hair done, if you need to just go to the park, have a picnic, like do something completely unconventional you normally don't do to have some fun, maybe. Try something new. I don't know, but create some fun because right now, there's so much that we could just be like, constantly back and guys, we're going to make it. It seems like we're not. It seems really hard, but I have a good feeling. As I sit here and rant, and you're like, okay, well, at least you just sit here and went ape shit on us. But at the end of the day, I still feel like there is something good on the horizon, and we just have to get through this. But as you're going through stuff, you have the right to complain and be upset and be angry. But it's just going to take some time for us to get to that place of seeing that joy and that happiness in life. I mean, you can find joy even right now, right? Like, what am I saying? You can find joy in just the smallest things. It's a beautiful day today in New York. Like, it is gorgeous. Just, appreciating those things can definitely help. Yeah. the simple things, I guess. Oh, guys, I just don't know. Honestly, vote for who you feel is going to be the best for you, in the collective. Like, honestly, think about everyone. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm still trying to like think about this beyond my personal feelings and thoughts and just the anger that I feel. What is going to benefit the entire country? And I'm not there yet. Keep it real. I'm not there yet. I don't know yet. Um, and I think I still have a little time, right? It's May. Everything makes a difference in November, right? November, was it? What date will we vote this year? I don't even know yet, but early November. So I have some time to really mesh through that, but I don't know. I don't know. But I just pray that we all start looking at the country as a whole and not just our own thoughts and feelings and continuing this polarized way of thinking because it's literally gotten us nowhere, y'all, at all. All right, y'all. Let me go upstairs, get my life together, figure out what to cook for these folks that I live with. Yeah. And like I always say, let's just keep on keeping on. All right. I love y'all. And I'll see you next week.